So it's nice for wealthy Manhattanites and anybody else who travels to New York and wants to listen to a concert to have a beautifully renovated concert hall. But again, how do you compare that with the amount of good that can be done in saving lives or restoring sight or a variety of other improvements in the lives of people who are in extreme poverty? I think, contrary to what Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisor says, I think it is obvious that there are objective answers to at least some choices that some people in the field of philanthropy are making, and I think some of them are making the wrong choices. Now, actually, I just did a radio interview about this recently, and the interviewer said, well, but aren't people free to make their own choices? And of course, I'm not trying to take their right to choose away from them. I'm not trying to say David Geffen's money should have been confiscated and given to a charity that would be more effective. I'm just saying, why can't we try to persuade more people to make a better set of choices where they'll do more good? And since another right, presumably, is freedom of expression, I'm simply exercising my freedom of expression in trying to present considerations that I hope would persuade people to make different choices from the choices that they're making. So here's one of the options, by the way. I've talked about cataract surgery. There's another very inexpensive way of not curing but preventing blindness. Trachoma is the largest single cause of blindness in the world. It's a microorganism that gets in the eyes of children quite young and very, very slowly, progressively blurs their vision until perhaps by the time they're about 40 or something like that, they will go blind, and then they will spend the rest of their lives blind. But it is quite cheaply and inexpensively prevented, and these children are lining up for a clinic that will prevent them getting it, again, as I say, at very low cost. So that's an alternative to some of those charities that I've mentioned. Okay, now some people say, this is again quite a recent example, comes from the comment, one of the online comments on the online version of the column by Nicholas Kristof that I just mentioned. Some people say, well, why not do both? Why am I critical of giving to the arts? Why can't we do both? They're both valuable, aren't they? Well, why not take a neutral view? Well, I think it's not a false choice at all. I think it's an unavoidable choice because everyone's resources are limited. Even Bill Gates' resources are limited, or Warren Buffett's. If they had given half of what they have given to the Gates Foundation and half of it to the arts, then there would have been fewer resources to help treat some of those diseases. The Gates Foundation, incidentally, supplemented and continued and expanded the work that Ted Turner had started. So I think we're all in that situation. We can't write checks for everything that we're prepared to spare beyond our living expenses to more than one cause. Otherwise, we'll find that we've bounced our checks. So unfortunately, I think we do have choices, and even though I guess it's true that I think both arts and treatment of human illnesses are worthy of support, I think there are differences between them that make the treatment of human illnesses, where it can be done cheaply, more worthy of support. And although I'd like to see the arts flourish, I think in terms of giving, we ought to deal with the situation of the global poor, for example, and maybe animal suffering and some other more urgent issues before we give to the arts. Which is not to say, of course, that people won't express themselves artistically. They always have, and I think always will, whether they're receiving philanthropic donations for it or not, but it will be a somewhat different kind of art scene.